Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 253, and let's get to it. And before we get too far along here, I do want to call out, I've got some life stuff coming up, all of it positive, but might keep me from making as many videos as I have been here recently. I typically aim to get 4 out a week. Here in recent times, I've been doing much better than that, getting 6 or 7 out over the past few weeks, but I'm going to be a little bit busy over the course of the next week, and so I'll try to keep at 4. We'll see how it goes, but nothing bad, all good stuff. It's just going to be a little time consuming and jumping into my ability to make YouTube videos. But nonetheless, back to Expedition Trial number 253 here. Interesting little set. I'm kind of tempted to just jump in on the Braum. Everybody likes Poros a little bit. We're getting kind of towards the end of the season here, and give us a little fun thing to chase after. Otherwise, these other packs are okay-ish. Lux is very powerful. This is just not a great start for Lux. I really like, as far as Lux goes, I really like chasing after remembrances, or at the least kicking off with like a reinforcement or something. Just Redoubled Valor is a fairly weak card in the current meta game, and Purify is pretty replaceable. It's something that we typically find ourselves starting with and then quickly trade out of our deck. And so of these 3 champions, I do believe Lux is the strongest one. Probably the safest and quickest route to get you to 7 wins, but I think we're going to draft the Braum. And then down here, the Lulu is okay. This is a reasonable start with her. I really champion, if you're drafting Lulu, you want to be getting as many young witches as you can. You want to be getting as many 1-drops as you can. And then ideally, you'll be able to find some challengers. And so if you're able to pair her up with Demacia or something, then that's typically the way to go. Try to get some really early board presence and then find a way to get some board control over your opponent. But here, we're going to be taking Braum, going the route of the Poro. This is not a particularly good Poro start. I do think Call of the Wild is borderline unplayable. Poro Snacks is okay. We tend to find our way into having multiple copies of this, and so, ideally we would be starting with something like Lonely Poro, or starting with at least a Mighty Poro, something that gives us a little bit more direction as opposed to this utility. Because the problem with drafting this utility is, what if we just don't draft Poros, right? If we take whatever champion next, we say, wow, that was a pretty good champion to build around, let's do that. Now we've got potentially 2 100% dead cards in our hand. And so this does kind of force us into drafting Poros with a start like this, and hopefully we won't get punished for it. But a thing to definitely call out from the start here, right? If we take this Lux, if we decide to draft another champion, then, we have a passable combat trick and a passable spell along with a high-quality champion, right? We just don't have to build around what either of these things do. They don't pigeonhole us into doing anything specific. Kind of the same thing applies with, Twin Disciplines. Flower Child does force you into the support archetype, but nothing quite as bad as Call of the Wild Poros next. But nonetheless, let's take a moment and get these pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar with it, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep all of my collection of expedition-y things. The Aphelios cards should be coming out here in the next day or so. I thought they were slated to come out on like the 3rd or the 4th, and so when this video comes out, should be the 3rd or the 4th, and so I'll get an Aphelios review out. I think it should have like the champion plus 5 or 6 cards, was my understanding of how it works, but it seems like Riot announced it back in like early January, and then it's been kind of radio silent on what's happening with him. But nonetheless, this is where I keep all my stuff. The guide section has all of my YouTube videos listed in it, and then the tier list is what, of course, the most popular section. Probably the way you found our work here, but the text version, the image version, and then the YouTube version, all available with what we're doing. But nonetheless, today we'll be over in the Expedition Helper section. We're just going to go down to the little drop down. We're going to click on Braum and Fluft and Tuft, and it's going to get a list of all of the cards that live in this pool. It is not technically this big. The way that this pool actually works is, at least to my understanding, is say that we end up in Demacia, then this Poro, you can get this out of the Fluft and Tuft pool, right? So typically you would only be able to get this out of Demacia cards. This becomes a part of Fluft and Tuft if you're within Demacia in the draft. And so that does make us typically want to either find our way into Targon. Poro Fly with the spell shield is very good, or we typically want to find our way into Ionia. That's where you get the the elusive Poro, if we could manage to find it. He's not as important as he used to be now that Poro Cannon is a card, but the reason we're going on about all this stuff is one of the kind of build-around strategies with this card pool is to go after the Heart of Fluft, and so if we're able to drop him and make the gigantic unit, ideally we don't want our opponent just silence killing it right from the start. That is the reason we're interested in Porofly. And then if we do turn this into a big 15-15 unit or whatever, we don't want our opponent just blocking it over and over again. And so that is the value in picking up the elusive little Poros. But nonetheless, these are just kind of like small strategies. The way that we typically go about this is we want to just pick up as many lonely Poros as we can. Mighty Poro is also very good on his own. These are both kind of the glue that holds this deck together. And then we're also going to look for a touch of top end, whether or not that be the Heart of Fluft or They Who Endure. I'm not a humongous fan of just sitting around and trying to get 2 and 3 Poro snacks off so that we have 3/3 or 4/4 little Poros. I tend to just try to play cards that are actually good on their own. And then find a strategy that we can use to build around with that. And so, if we're just looking specifically at the cards, Lonely Poro, Mighty Poro down here in the rare section, picking up Poro Herder and Poro Patched Bots, these are all, just high quality cards and the good core to a deck. So on top of that, we would rather be playing things like Avarosian Hearthguard and Jagged Taskmaster than we would be wanting to be playing Poro Snacks. They're cards that just tend to play well across the breadth of your entire deck as opposed to just one or two specific cards. And so, with these kind of things in mind, this deck does plays very similarly to Ancient Evil Trendemir. If you're familiar with that one, he does a lot of these same things to where we're looking to just play a bunch of early game plays. We just stall out the board. We're going to expect a bunch of our units to die, and then try to close games out with They Who Endure or Trendemir himself, or if we have a wide board, pack mentality. So, a lot of the same synergies do apply. I wish that, we were starting out with a bit of direction as opposed to starting out with some of these just full on, have to be in Poro build around cards. But, this is the strategy we're pursuing here, and so it's how it's going to be. And so with these, kind of the same deal as we mentioned in that previous pack, I do want to be picking up a Targon champion so that we can get access to those spell shielded Poros, and Diana's a pretty good one here. And so this will be a reasonable start. I'm not a huge fan of Thresh in these kind of card pools. Threshing out Braum is kind of turdy. Rekindling Braum also kind of turdy. Just not anything that we're trying to do. There are a bunch of removal spells in this card pool, but not something that I'm like super excited to be taking. And then lastly, down here with Quinn, I really prefer her to be paired up with Bilgewater, just not something that we're going to be doing. And so we are kind of just stuck going down the path of this Diana. And ideally, at least what we should be able to do is if we need to pivot out of trying to go Poros, these cards should be offered up as trade picks very quickly. And so we might be stuck with these for a game or two, but typically, if it's just like we start with Diana and then pick two Nightfall kind of cards, then these cards will fall off quickly. This Fluft and Tuft has a high cohesiveness rating. We don't talk about it too frequently because we don't know exactly how it works, but the idea with it is, these, as we mentioned in the previous pack, these Poro cards are, they have a lot of requirements to it, right? They just don't do anything if you aren't playing Poros, and that's kind of Riot's way to make these cards stop showing up. And so if we appear to be diving into a Nightfall deck, then these Poro-centric Fluft and Tuft packs should show up less frequently. And then if our deck does resemble the cards that exist in that Fluft and Tuft pool, we should see these more frequently. And so, hopefully if we do transition to Diana, these will fall off and not show up and be able to be traded away. But nonetheless, we're going down this Diana path here. Let me pull up the Luminous Dusk real quick. Back up here, Diana, Luminous Dusk. Cool. And this is just your all-around Nightfall build-around. This pairs up with Nocturne, and you're just looking to play all of the Nightfall units between your Nightfall Activator and then the Shade Stalker, Crescent Guardian are the big ones, Pale Cascade being the premier combat trick. And so what we do see with this Luminous Dusk pool is that it has a lot of very good early game units. It has our gift givers and spacey sketchers in the 1-drop slot. There's Diana herself in 2. There's a Shadestalker at 2, Mountain Goat at 2. All of these high quality units, and then in the 3-drop slot there is the Crescent Guardian, and then the reasonably okay unit in Spring Guardian. Then on kind of the other side of things, Pale Cascade is a very good combat trick, arguably the best in the game. Guiding Touch is a passable interactive spell, so that has a little bit of interaction, some good stuff there, but it doesn't have any removal spells. And then kind of the last thing to call out with this pool is it doesn't have any top end. And so typically when we play Diana, we are looking to put together these really aggressive decks. We really focus on our 1 and 2 and 3 drops, spend all of our mana in the early game, and then try to close the games out with just some high value Pale Cascades. And so ideally, this should play okay with Braum, right? When we were talking about him and how he's kind of similar to Tryndamere and, has a lot of these themes of just flooding the board with a bunch of 1-drops and then trying to close out with They Who Endures, there's a lot of overlap there between Diana and what Braum is trying to do. And so ideally, I think these will work out okay. And then kind of the other thing that we should potentially pull off with this is finding a way to boost our Braum. So Pale Cascade always okay. I was trying to think if we wanted to pursue another faction that wasn't Targon, but living here, if you get a gem and put it on Braum, very good. If you find a thing like Zenith Blade, you can ideally find better units than Braum for the Zenith Blade, but one of the things here as far as the synergies are concerned is we do have ways to give Braum plus attack, and even just one attack on Braum can turn him into a real menace in combats. And so I think we can pull this off. I think these will be okay. We're starting with some awkward cards in the Call of the Wild on the Poros Nax and the Stargazer, but I think after a few trade picks, we should be on target and doing well. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are going to have to make some decisions real quick right from the start if we want to be pursuing Poros or not. It's a reasonable start with the Poro Herder. I really don't like these Call of the Wilds. It just turns out to be a dead card too frequently, but our other options here are not very good. From a quality standpoint, the White Flame Protector, Startled Stomper are the best ones. They just don't give our deck any direction. And then these are some pretty weak Luminous Dusk cards. While there's a bunch of healing in this Diana pool, I do not know. Maybe it's so that you can activate the Stargazer, which you also don't need. But these cards are very low value, and so it sucks to be picking up more of these Call of the Wilds. I hope we get the opportunity to trade these away, but I think we're just going to go all in on the Poros here and pick up the Poro Herder. And so, the big thing we're going to be looking for are the 1-drop Poros. This is a pretty weak set. I do want the Poro Flaws. That's why we kind of dove into this card pool, but we're specifically looking for Lonely Poro, not so much this one. And then I have a feeling that we're going to end up having like 5 Poro Snacks in this deck, and that is just not very good. But I mean, as far as these other cards are concerned, Crumble would be okay, but we're never going to be activating Wraith Callers, so we can let that go. And then down here, the Blessing of Targon Sneaky Zeebles, just a little bit too expensive for what we're trying to pull off. We really want to keep our curve very low. There's a very few specific expensive cards that we want, and they aren't Sneaky Zeebles. Our units really need some help with their stats in combat, and so we're typically looking for like pack mentalities and not things to just cancel our opponent's weaker blockers. But adding in the Poro Fly. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. That's exactly what we're looking for with the Lonely Poro and the Heart of Fluft. Just our 1-drop Poro generates a Poro, and then the late game unit that we're looking for. Very good. And we're stuck in Poros now, so we gotta get the good ones when we can. And then this set of cards is a steaming pile. I think we have to take the Sunforger with the Blessing. We can't add Wraith Callers to our deck. This deck could have taken quite the weird turn if we'd just taken the 2 Wraith Callers and then took a bunch of Shadow Isles cards the rest of the way. But I mean, we want the Vengeance, but this card's just too bad, and we don't want these 1-drop Shadow Isles cards showing up. The Shadow Isles Poros, the Fearsome one, it's okay, but ideally we can just find some of the Overwhelm Poro in the 3-drop slot. And so again, down here, Shatter's awful, Icy Yeti. I mean, it kind of combos. We do have the Call of the Wild, so you can potentially draw these, but I'm just going to take the highest quality cards here. Okay, this sucks. These cards are all terrible. We really need to avoid these Poro snacks. This is the biggest trap in this card pool that there is. You know, as it stands at this point, yes, we're trying to be a Poro build around, but we have one Lonely, one Poro Fly, the Herder to draw some stuff, and then Braum. Like that's it. What are we gonna do? Like level up our our 1/1/1 and be done with it? Like this needs a lot more than our deck can currently offer up right now. So I'm just gonna take the Sunburst. Hopefully we can trade out this Mountain Scryer, but we do need to be picking up a removal spell at some point. Okay, then the real problem with drafting the Poros deck, I don't know if our deck just doesn't resemble Poros enough, because this is the second pack in a row that hasn't had a Fluft and Tuft pick in it. But, you know, how are we supposed to get ourselves back on track? Like, we can try to take Tall Tales because it says Yeti. Like, that's never going to be any good. And so let's at least take the 2 quality units. Because, see, again, like, this is the brutal thing with this card pool, and why I really didn't want to take it from the start. Is it's like, okay, we need to find some Fluft and Tuft cards. We need to get our Poros going, but we can take the Call of the Wild in our deck that has, you know, 2 Poros and 0 Yetis. Fury of the North is fine, but this card's going to be dead. Or we can take the actual real cards down here. So hopefully this can kind of course correct a little bit, because things are not looking good right now. This is okay. The good combat tricks give us a little something that we can work with here. Okay, all right. Things are hopefully picking up a little bit. Another 1-drop with a Poro Herder. Exactly what we're looking for. Good. Okay. Maybe the game felt my salt and decided it would toss me a bone. But a third Pale Cascade along with our preferred top end. Good stuff. Okay, so here, I think we have to just continue down the path of these combat tricks. Did we take a Fury of the North earlier? Yes, we did. And so I'm not a huge fan of these in decks that don't just have a big bunch of the kind of like mid-rangey overwhelms. Like, I really prefer it to be with like the 4/5 overwhelm regenerate for 5, or things like Alpha Wildclaw, and not so much Heart of Fluff to They Who Endure. But the Pale Cascades are exactly what we're looking for here. I guess we're just going to have 5 of them, right? we really need these Mighty Poros. These are the cards that play particularly well with Fury of the Norths. But all right. 5 Pale Cascades it is. And then what can we do here? I'm not opposed to actually taking Morning Lights. If we ever assemble any kind of width, you know, then these cards can be okay. I don't think we even have any Daybreaks in here, which is why it's fucking weird to be seeing that. We have the one Sunforger and a Sunburst, which just doesn't apply. And so I don't think this will be very good here. We don't have any healing cards. Well, we don't have any gems, I should say. We technically have a Kindly Tavern Keeper. Awkward. I really want to be picking up the Poro Herder, though. I think this is what I'm going to do. I think the game did go and kind of decide that we were in the Poros deck, and I really kind of want to drive that point home. The Tavern Keepers are fine, but I think I want, you know, hopefully the game at this point will be like, oh, okay, you know, bro's trying to do the Poro thing. Maybe we should offer up some of these trades. I'm afraid it won't let us, you know, get rid of things like Call of the Wild, but you know, at least if we're building around, let's do the building around. Okay, and then for our premium card, I don't think I've leveled up Lonely Poro, but this will be quite the appropriate time to do so. Let me take a look at the Poros. If you're not familiar with what we do here, we do level up one of our cards in every trial. This is not technically a pay-to-win game, but your cards feel better, perform better, do better when they are in their premium version, and so, you know, if our opponents aren't going to pay to win, then we certainly are. That's why we get to 7 so frequently. So, you know, the Lonely Poro is always a cool one. He does generate other Poros, and the generated cards are also leveled up. And so we should be finding all kinds of leveled up Poros here. Okay. Yeah, this is not the greatest of starts. This needs some trade work, but a lot of the core of what we're looking to do is here. So, no gem generators. That's unfortunate. We were really hoping for that out of Targon. We did pick up, you know, the Blessing of Targon can play okay with Braum. I'd rather have a Blessing of Targon than a Take Heart. So there's at least a bit of combo there. No, I do know our Diana's leveled up as well. She's very premium. We did it. We did that. I made it to all the way to the end of a trial without, remembering to level up a card, and so I leveled up our Diana at the very end. So I think you can tell from here, right? Yeah, she looks a little bit shinier down from the spot. Okay, reasonable start. See what I'm talking about? You make it premium, he shows up in your opener. That's the way it works. Okay, it's pretty tough for Bilgewater to interact with this stuff. They don't have very many good early game units, so didn't quite feel the need to just open attack. Okay, and then the thing with this is I do kind of want to go into our next turn with 2 spell mana banked up. I would ideally play Braum and then be able to Pale Cascade into something. So I'm gonna bank up the 2 spell mana here. Maybe he'll get an attack in. This feels like a spot where I would typically be attacking. It's not, but we still want to get our Braum down. We're getting real close to Poros Snacks being good and Heart of Fluft being good. Didn't get the big boy, but that's alright. Okay.
I've always been a fun guy.
This all seems fine. He needs to be adding presence to the board, and if he's going to spend 2 mana to make a copy of a unit and 1 mana to do puff cap themes, then that's very good for us. We feel about shutting this down. I do believe next turn we're probably going to want to both Poros Snack and Fury of the North, so we'll have 6 mana. We need to bank 1. I was trying to decide how it felt about frostbiting these units, and if we'd have enough time to do it all, which I think we can.
Winter, take you. Eat and grow strong. My shield is my son. Have you met my shield?
Okay.
I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
So can we ever fully protect our Braum here? I don't think we can. We can get him up to 9, but then he'll die to the Wave Rider. So let's just Pale Cascade. Not worried about losing our unit down here. And for a big 12 bomb. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, then I think we're okay to add Fluft and Tuft. He's going to have Overwhelm. Should be pretty tough for him to deal with it. As it is, he's threatening an Overwhelm onto the Wave Rider. Okay. Guess we'll just take a 4 hit and he'll probably pass. Maybe he'll add his other unit. That's fine. All the things. You got it, boss.
Armed and ready.
Alright, probably need to Brittle Steel this Teemo just in case things go too wrong next turn. But, I believe we should be okay. We can both Fury of the North and Blessing of Targon are Heart of Fluft. Look at that. Look how premium Diana is. Good stuff. here, I don't think there's a reason to attack with the archers, right? He's just going to block with these and then be fully wide. We want, if this isn't successful, we want him to be in a spot to where he has to replace units on the board if he wants to increase his board's quality. Oh, cool. All right, we won a game. That's more than I was expecting. We high rolled that draw pretty well. Let's see. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. That's exactly the Braum we're looking for. Another Lonely and another Poro Herder. Good stuff. Good stuff. Just get to trading out some of these cards I don't want. Things are looking up. It's pretty cool. Always feels good having 5 Pale Cascades in your deck. But that's the thing that makes me sad about premiums. And why I always go and level up the units first is I do have premium Pale Cascades, but it's like your opponent doesn't even get to see it, right? You know, we like to come out here and share, and so, you know, we put our premium Lonely Poro on the board. Our opponent gets to be like, yeah, those shinies are awesome. But then, okay, guess we had a disconnect. But then, you know, if you're adding just like Pale Cascades, it just bursts. They don't get to see it, so you're the only one that gets to see it in your hand. That's kind of unfortunate. Maybe they'll make like a sparkly animation or something in the future, so your opponent gets some of that bamboozle factor in there. Okay, Fiora Leona. Fiora's typically a challenge for us to deal with, in that you know, we're just trying to slam a bunch of 1/1s into a board of Fiora, and it's very easy for her to get an OTK on you. This is a awkward start. There are kind of like two things you have to watch yourself with this deck as to where, you know, you are playing all of these like 1-drops, and you do kind of get in your head that you're going to be some kind of aggro deck, and that's not always the case. A lot of times you'll just kind of like sit around and stall until you're able to get a board where you can take advantage of things like Poros snacks. So this is awkward. We're just going to get a Diana down. Oh boy, our favorite. I love playing against the Grand Plaza. But we have to be doing something here. We don't, you know, have any combos for her. Could have perhaps cycled onto this, but I think he's going to play a card. We're going to be able to add a Poro Herder, and then maybe we can do something with a Pale Cascade. Very strong chance that she's just going to get barriered, though. Call of the Wild. Nice, said no one ever. Oh man, he doesn't have a barrier? Are we just gonna get through this? Nice, nice. So we had to spend a bunch of mana to do it, but that was about as good as we could have hoped for. Okay, okay. And he actually hit his... Alright, well maybe we'll get one if he's, you know, playing Fiora Grand Plaza and then hitting his invokes with Mountain Scryer.
Solari control all that her warmth touches.
So we're just going to lose our Braum here. Doesn't seem like there's anything we can do about it.
My friend, you are lucky, man. Bless the faithful and fear the heretics.
Okay.
Faces to the sun. Devotion to battle.
Yep. Nothing we can do.
Fight another day.
So I guess we're just going to have to try to build to a, you know, our big boys here. Can at least get another Mighty with Braum. Okay with that. Then ideally, what we're going to be able to pull off here is he's not going to have a sure. He's not going to open it or have, you know, if he wants to open attack, he can't have challengers, so that's fine. Then otherwise, you know, he's going to play a unit, and then we're going to add a huge Heart of Fluft. Is kind of the idea that we have going on here.
We'll find you some friends. My shield is my sword. Have you met my shield?
We also want to add the tough one. Oh boy. Okay. That's fine. It sucks that we don't get our Mighty Poro out of this. We really need our Heart of Fluff to have Overwhelm. Might as well play this card. Oh yeah, love it. Just actual do nothing. Spend 3 mana and a card do actual nothing. I love it. Love it, love it. Okay. Don't think we'll be doing a Heart of Fluff this turn. Right? We miss our Invoke, that's about right. We'll keep him.
What have Poros done to you? The little one.
All right, this is bad. Not having a mighty. And I don't think we can answer this Great Beyond anyways. We don't have any elusives in our deck. All right, well. How much is this? 4, 8. 8 plus 5 is like 13. Alright, we're done. Well, that was a fun and interactive game. I do love playing against the Grand Plaza. Jesus.
Next time we will do better.
I try to keep my salt down, but that is like the actual most unfun card to play against in the existence of the game. So I don't think I'm wrong in that sense. But here, anyways, let's see. Getting rid of Mountain Scryer is fine. Probably not going to be as lucky as our previous opponent and blast these when we're at a 2-1 in the other faction. But you know, Pale Cascade number 6, I'm all for it. All right. Zoe and Soraka with the Aurelian Soul. Alright, let's get rid of this Call of the Wild. It's unfortunate we're never going to be able to trade these away. I don't feel like the game's ever going to be like, hey, you want to trade away your Poro cards? I would take actual anything in place of this card. But it can go, Pale Cascade can go. We're starting with a Poro. I don't think we want to trade our Mighty away. I would, you know, ideally be able to hit a Poro herder on 2, and we have a ton of them, but not here. I don't feel the need to just run this out. We're not going to get any real value out of it. Right. Wow, our opponent must have a real awkward one, to say the least. To say the least. So there's no reason to run out the Sunforger other than him just being a big unit. I think we're pretty good to just get all of these Poros going. I was going to say I have to assume what's going to happen with our opponent is they're just going to play one unit, right? If they've made it this far, they're probably just going to be playing like a 4-drop, and so that leaves us in a good spot to just Iceveil Arch or whatever he has. So. Let's add one. Maybe we should have added the fearsome one, but I do kind of want to save this as our backup Poro in the event that yeah, we draw a They Who Endure and can't give it over well. Get excited on our big one. Oh. Okay. I think we just want to get all this in here. He does get the value block down here, but I think we just need to punch through damage and as much of that as we can. Nice. Nice. I can tell this is going to be good. This is going to be good. We've got 1, 2, 3. We got 3 Poros in our 24 cards. So, you know, a 1 in 8 chance of hitting them, but we get 4 shots at it. So 1 in 8 4 times. That means we probably ought to hit like half the time. Hit 1 half the time. That's a pretty good deal. Okay, I don't like super care about these things. We're just going to plan on getting as wide as we can and open attacking. Can technically play a Celestial here. They're 2 cheaper. Perfect draw. Alright, so let's start with Call of the Wild. I don't think we're ever going to play it, but the intent is we're just going to Pale Cascade here. He might have to block our 2 bigs, right? Takes 9. Well, he'd only be taking 11 if he tries to block 2 smaller ones. But I'd say that he's going to lose his 2 Mountain Scryers here. Okay. The big decision.
Protector, shield me.
Block this one. Why wouldn't you just block the Spell Shield one? Like he's our actual worst one. Okay, and what if he heals out of this? Do we care? I don't think we care. So he could have removal spells. So let's at least boost this one. Right, I don't really want... there's a lot of times where you want to boost your smaller unit. Like if we could technically get the Sinister Poro out of Mystic Shot range, we can't get it out of Get Excited range. So against Built Over, I kind of wanted to make sure that I was protecting ourselves from the big one. And he could just heal up 7 of that. Okay. Hopefully we're still okay. We run into problems if he has like the expensive one that lets you like AoE your opponent's board. But if his like Celestial play is just a big unit, then nobody cares. Okay. So he can only play a 5 now, so we can spew out all our boys. Could technically Sunburst something. Then we miss out on a unit. What do we think of that? Kind of like it. Not exactly how I wanted that to go, but that makes the Sunburst look a lot worse. I was intending on getting a Sunburst down in 2 units, but like specifically having the 1 Challenger is a real problem. Okay. See if we can't get wider. This is kind of scary now that if he has the AoE, we're really struggling. Yep. All right, so we'll just have to set up a little to big attack here. Not anything we can do about that.
My arrow won't miss. Warning, take you.
Reconsider.
Bow to me. Do not stray.
I'm just gonna start pale cascading our units. We can technically, I mean, we still got 4 pale cascades in here. Draw it like 20% of the time. Oh, he's just lethal like this. You gotta block way down here. That's why we're a little to biggin', bro.
Warning, take you.
Okay. Nice. Sneak past the life steals. Very good. Very good. That was a greedy block. All right, Call of the Wild. We just can't do it. But all right, we got another lonely Poro. He's a big one in our deck. At least I mean, if we're not going to be able to get rid of Call of the Wilds, at least we have an additional Poro now. Oh, that card's so horrible. So horrible. That's the way life goes, right? You play against the guy with the Grand Plaza, and then you get to play your Call of the Wild for 0. Come on, bud. You missed the draft. You've been missing the drafts. Okay. Twisted Fate can be kind of scary here. Is this how we're going to do this? We've only got 2 Brahms. What if we do this? Like, I don't want to keep these Poro herders if we don't have a 1-drop. And so I think this is okay. We're going to be on the even attacks, and so we get the chance to play Braum and hit with him. Poros are a little scary against Twisted Fates. They have a lot of AoE, but probably I also have to assume that this is like a raiding party style deck, so probably also going to be running into Make It Rains.
Nothing like the stink of blood and sweat.
Okay. Oh.
Let's
I
get
think at least here I just want to bank the mana. We want to get up to 2 next turn. Can't interact with this thing.
I don't change fate, but I can see it.
Okay. Oh, the Pale Cascades.
I need a rubber cheek.
Okay. So he's only playing 1 Sejuani. I don't think we have to worry about her too much. Then we do need to add something to the board. So, Affectionate Poro it is.
Take me for a spin. Spin, spin, spin. You win.
5.
Let us get going.
Doesn't feel like a real good use of our Affectionate Poro to be hooking this Jagged Butcher, especially when our opponent, or when we have 2 Pale Cascades in our hand and a Fury of the North. So let's just try to take the smaller unit here. This protected from Fury of the North, so that feels pretty good as well.
I'm always up for a round or 2.
Blue card?
Where's the serpentine?
Okay, that's a little greedy. Is this hand just that bad?
It is easy, see?
Optimal outcome achieved.
Salvage? we're just gonna have to ace this Twisted Fate. This is getting a little scary.
I'm out.
Bounty Ball knows me name.
A winner is you.
The 110 slot bot. Look out. Look out. Touch awkward. I would like the Blessing of Targon, our Braum, but it's a bit expensive. I think we'll just go the Pale Cascade route.
Time for talking. Have you met my shield?
Okay, and give him the chance to put damage on his slot bot or however he wants to approach this, I'm fine with. So it's going to be 7, 8, 9. Oh, no! No! We're one short. Seven, 9, 6. Yep. Okay. He got to toss his top tails. Must feel good for him.
Optimal outcome achieved.
Hells yeah. 2 Call of the Wilds. Look out, buddy. Look out.
Need riches.
Hey, we hit one. That's the that's the best anyone could ask for. Hit the snacks. Okay, it's still good to throw away. We have plenty of Oro in our hand with the Lonely. And it feels like he's probably going to try to AoE us. Oh, the Howling Abyss. I guess that is not the case. Okay. We're just going to go huge with this Heart of Fluft. It's going to have Overwhelm plus Spell Shield. It should be very tough for our opponent to deal with. Actually, not yet. Let's get the Poro Herder down. If we can chunk 2 stats off of a slot bot, that's pretty good. This will overwhelm for 12. So, you know, now if our opponent plays, you know, pretty much any unit, we could just hook it and kill it with the Fluft.
I thought you'd never ask.
Okay. Don't think we're scared of Ezreal. This deck shouldn't have too much Ezreal things it can do. We can play our 3 our 7 our 3/3 for 7 if we want. Not a bad deal.
Would you believe it once fit in my hand?
Watch and learn.
Okay, then we're gonna stop here. I assume he's gonna want to like Mystic Shot our Mighty, which is fine. But as it stands, I want to keep some of this mana in case we need to Fury of the North. Whatever this guy's gonna do. Oh god, seems like he's got he's got something in his bag of tricks here. But I want to be able to put this 7 health onto our Fluft Poros if we need to. Might be running into a Harsh Winds, which would be kind of unfortunate. We just want the additional unit now? Maybe we do. Let's go wide. He can't actually kill this thing with 4 mana. Let's just get fully wide. We can threaten additional 7 damage or 6 damage out of hand.
For silver I talk, for gold I listen.
Why would he hit Ezreal instead of this thing? I was expecting an Ezreal hook.
You started without me.
Okay.
Optimal outcome achieved.
Trust me, they add up.
So let's a hook a not Ezreal. Also don't want to hook this big one. Should be reasonable, I guess. Let's at least do it this way.
I can barely keep up.
Keep trying.
You're between me and glory.
This is outrage!
Harsh winds. Flash freeze. Alright, so do we wanna feel like he has an additional like removal? I think we just go for it. Let's save our brittle steel for this Ezreal next turn in case this goes poorly. No. Okay. Alright. Oh man, he's playing cards and stuff. Oh no. Okay. Oof. Alright, he's done playing cards now. That was a little on the scary side of things. Alright, let's pick up this third Braum. Hopefully, how much do you wanna wager this Braum's gonna have a Call of the Wilds in it? Nope. Alright, Poor Herder Battle Fury sounds good to me. Love me a Battle Fury. Good stuff. See, a little Gangplank, a little Teemo, little Jinx. And we're just going to look for 1-drops. I don't like starting with Poro Herder if we don't have a 1, so I think we're pretty reasonable spot to just hard mulligan for all of these. And we have 5 Poro Herders in our deck, and so pretty good chance that we find one. You know, later on, even if it's like turn 4 or something. We don't mind that.
I never. In range.
You can technically Pale Cascade this. Like, I'm not opposed to just throwing away Pale Cascades when we have 6 of them. And so I think it has the potential to be okay. Let's not get overly clever here. I feel like we're going to get an opportunity to really spend these combat tricks, and I don't want it to just be like mega obvious that we're up to shenanigans.
Trust me, they add up.
Right? This just looks like a reasonable value attack, right?
Hey there. Don't mind the
He's
knife.
going to open on us though, which is the problem with this.
Time to get rich.
Which do we care? I mean, we can spend the 3 mana. This is okay. Let's get his board out of here. He's, of course, going to get the plunder because he has this thing anyways. Maybe we should have just killed it when we had the chance, but I think this is fine. We're going to get wider than him. The thing that sucks is we can't represent a Poros next, even if we throw down both of our Poros.
Have a mushroom. Have 3.
I think we're safe. We had to also had to worry about make it rains in this kind of situation, but I think we're fine.
I've always been a fun guy.
So if he has a gangplank next turn, that sucks. But otherwise, I feel like we're about to get in a pretty good combat.
I can barely keep up.
I assume this never blocks. He puts this in front of a 1/1, and then Buffcat Peddler in front of something. I guess from his point of view, it would probably want to be Poro Herder. Sweet. It's for me. Got it. It's physically playing Sumpworks map. That's never feels good.
Captain's orders. Bullet to the face.
Okay, then I think we just want to run it all out here, right? Our hand is essentially all combat tricks, and so you know, we're gonna have either the 6 or the 7 mana next turn to Blessing of Targon, Pale Cascade, Fury of the North, Pale Cascade. That's all fine. We can get Poro Herder down here. Okay, that could be bad. Draw a lot of Poros. Uh-oh, he took one. You gotta watch yourself on. You gotta watch yourself on the pilfered goods when you're playing the Puffcap deck. I've killed myself many a times doing that. Okay.
Now, where did that one run off to?
Probably gonna be a little short of lethal here.
Where did they go off to?
But we should win 2 of these combats, right?
Would a mushroom help?
Gotcha in my sights. Came a long way for a bullet.
Most we can add is +5, so we knew we were never going to just outright win here. But this feels like a good target. This should still win. This feels like a good target. Let's see if we can survive the direct damage. We're not super puff capped up at this point, and so it's always scary against, you know, he has a guaranteed 1 damage here. He's probably got a Mystic Shot or 2 in his hand. But we have to clench those butt cheeks, see if we can see if we can make it to our next attack.
You dream it, I'll build it. Double trouble.
Okay, okay. Never playing this. I don't want to be drawing cards at this point. And we have a pretty reasonable set of units here. Tip a warning shot, that's good for damage. So I mean, the idea we have here, assuming he just plays, you know, like another unit, you know, he say just adds Puffcat Peddler. This is suspect. The idea we have is we're just going to Braum hook something and then okay. This is fine. This is a good spot to be taking his blockers out since we can refill our board. But sure.
I could use 2 of
But the idea is we're just gonna hook Braum somewhere way down. We're gonna use Braum to hook his stats and then try to kill with the mighty Poro.
We'll find you some friends.
The strong don't want mercy.
Feels safe. No guarantees with that, but
Is it the boosters? Who knows?
Okay.
Trust me. Have you met my shield?
Oh, you'll scream.
Friend here needs you to pay up.
Okay. Did we do it? Did we make it? There's one. Okay. No. Okay.
Double trouble.
Alrighty. Woo. Got there.
The little one.
Okay. And I saw Call of the Wild and was like, hell yeah, we can finally get rid of this thing that was on the wrong side. So with this, it's close. With this style of deck, I'm okay with having multiple sunbursts, but I'm like more fine with one. It can be kind of tough to find the turns to actually play this. But this probably be our last chance to find another sunburst where it tends to show us a lot of Battle Furies in these style of decks. So I think I'm good to go ahead and make the swap for the removal spell. We do have, I mean, I typically, really love me a Battle Fury, and I'm still not even opposed to having one in this deck, but, I mean, we have 6 Pale Cascades, right? And so, it's not nearly as important. It doesn't really, function like a Pale Cascade. This is something you play on an unblocked unit, which we can do pretty easily, or you play on an Overwhelm unit more typically, but I think given the makeup of our deck that the Sunburst is a little bit more important here. Okay. Ugh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Not gonna cancel, we're just gonna deal with it. Found that perfect opponent for us. There we go. Hopefully not a disconnect. Alright, the Solar wins. Yasuo and Leona. Let's see. Want to do something like this? I think I'm pretty content with hanging on to Diana's. Even if we just play her on 2. But ideally, if we pick up a 1-drop, then we should be able to play her on 4 with another 1 and maybe do a little bit of challenging. So we don't have a whole lot of interaction in the early game, which is kind of the difference, I think, in keeping her and keeping
Journey is difficult. These will protect you.
things like who's he called, Poro Herder.
Be brave.
Somebody else believing in the premiums. I got you, friend. We're on the same page here. Right.
Oh, fluff everywhere.
Go hang out, bud. Come on.
Where'd they go off to?
This is a Pale Cascade. I'm more than happy for that to happen. Okay, and I was pretty sure I was planning on just banking spell mana here. We'll see what happens, what's in this guy's bag of tricks, but that was the idea. It seems like he's just hurting for mana, or hurting for cards to play.
What have Poros done to you?
I want to put the 2 damage on this. It just doesn't feel like he's got something to interrupt our Diana. But here, I want to add a Lonely. We're good to just get these in combat and have them trade away. I want to be up at 4 mana after I play Diana so that we can use Fury of the North. See if we can't get something going on here. The scary thing with Yasuo is if we get really invested in this attack with Diana and he has another copy in his hand and Steel Tempests out our Diana, then that's just a horrible spot to be in. Alright, we'll just let her go. It's going to take 2 from this, but I don't feel like she's important enough to what we're doing to spend a Fury of the North on this.
Trust me, they add up.
This is not the way.
Hope you brought friends.
Oh, didn't expect that to come through. But it was quite obvious that we were up to shenanigans with this attack. Quite obvious, wasn't it, bud? I'd like to trade this away.
Strength of the sun and my fate
Sure.
are one.
Follow along, little ones.
Channel our power.
Need a Poros next, real bad.
Spook them. The little ones.
Oh, we'll find you some friends.
Okay, then we're just looking to open next turn. I think we're a generated one. Play the affectionate. Get a hook on the gift giver. Let's see where this gets us.
I missed you too.
Cool.
These gems grant a wearer harmony.
Poro snacks. I think that changes anything, but he was not. That was a pretty good draw.
I can barely keep up.
Focus on me.
Okay. And we still have the spell shield one in hand for whenever we want to play Heart of Fluft. Good stuff. Maybe we'll get hit really good on this plunder. Sure. That fearsome scout. Need quick attack with the fearsome. But I got rid of our challenger. I was like, this challenger could have been interesting if he plays a unit that we could trample through and kill. But ooh, we're a little light on some of these cards. I think.
First light illuminates the land.
It gives us
Behold the divine power of the sun!
Oh, sure.
Behold the sun's holy light.
Go ahead and get rid of her. Wasn't the plan, but we can do some cool stuff if we're able to kill her. He wants to get greedy with the Sunforger. It's all pretty cool to me. Okay. To bank all of this, let's pass.
Daylight breaks on the battle.
Oh, the Leonas. Okay.
Glorious
And
light
I
rains
think this
down.
just used to be bugged, and I do believe it has been fixed to where if you roll a Heart of Fluft up into other units, one of those units is stunned. It does not stun your Heart of Fluft. I think that was a bug at some point, and it's no longer the case. But let's see what we can do here. We got scout and stuff, so unfortunately don't have overwhelm. If we had overwhelm, I think we'd just kill him here, but that's what it is.
behold my work. Bright light.
Okay. So that'll bring in a stun. It'll get spell shielded.
A sword for
does open us up to getting hit with sunburst type effects, but I feel like we had to do something here.
The stars shine a guiding light.
Okay. I guess he didn't hit the obliterate. He's just gonna sit there and stare at him for a while. That should be good. I don't think he has any more Zenith Blades. I honestly didn't pay enough attention to be sure, but I think we should be okay here.
Slippery little
Yep, the
thief.
Trickster works for
Stole a
me.
star from Serpent's teeth.
Attack with that Leona. Nope. Would have been cool if you did.
Tell me a story.
Okay. Big worries. My big worries with the Heart of
Back
Fluft.
to the sky.
And just getting stunned over and over again.
Face my shield.
Oh, buddy. Is he gonna have another stun? I think I'm okay with that. Like, we need to do some cycling on these Pale Cascades. Maybe you'll have a Targon Shield and we get another card out of it in a cycle. I think she's gonna get like Steel Tempest. Oh man, we're gonna get him, aren't we? Oh, he's not. This guy's about to be like, really? Really? This is what we're doing? Shit. Oh, shit's hilarious. You can have more cards? Yeah, there's the emote. Oh shit, that's awesome.
Off we go. Load out.
Alright, alright. Finally has it. That's unfortunate. You don't get the backup units out of this either. Doesn't matter if we lose at this point. We already did a bunch of cool shit. Okay, let's see if we can't get a bait into this Yasuo. I assume he wants to attack with it. Nope.
Oh, fluff everywhere.
We're just out? I wasn't paying enough attention.
A chill
Right.
in the air.
We're just attacking. There's no two ways around it. We're gonna get some kind of win in this combat. Oh, fucking really? I guess I guess we're not allowed a bunch of fucking realies at this point. Oh yeah, that's it. That's a flipped Yasuo. Now we're just done. I don't think he paid attention to how he was doing it, but we'll have to call it quits there. Damn. Had so much going on there, but that's the downside to the Heart of Fluft, right? That's why I talked about wanting to give it elusive, the importance of being able to give it overwhelm. So, kind of is what it is. So here, all right, let's pick up another little Poro. I would be interested in picking up another Poro Snacks. Ideally, it would be at the cost of like a Call of the Wild, but I don't want to trade out our Poro Flies. As you can see in that game, if we're ever going big with the Heart of Fluft, and it's so important to give it Spell Shield, and so I don't want to have to be randoming it with the Lonely Poros. Right, on to the next one. So much cool stuff going on. I was worried about that Heart of Fluft because, typically, it's just so hard to hit something in Expedition with 2 spells that you can just assume it's going to be okay. But Leona kind of, presents a real problem to the Heart of Fluft plan with the ease in which she can put those targets on it and then just shut it down. Bit unfortunate. We could have played it a little different to maybe ensure that our heart had overwhelmed, but nonetheless. I don't even really want to keep Poro Fly. I mean, we have 4 Lonely Poros now. I think it's kind of safe to get rid of that. Okay. Multiple Aurelion Souls. Always surprises me to see people play multiple Aurelion Souls. You gotta get on board with something here. So I don't think we're ever gonna really need to search for a really good spot to play this. Do with Diana.
Arrow won't miss.
Maybe in a little bit we'll do things with Diana. Okay. This seems like a reasonable spot just to bank everything. We can add a Braum to the board. If he opens, that feels like a win for us. So this is a reasonable spot. And if we draw a Poro next turn, that would be cash. That'd be so good to hit a 1-drop Poro. Right, if we're able to 1-drop into Poro Herder into Diana and having Pale Cascade mana. He is.
Braum is here.
And of course, the unfortunate thing here is you only have the mana for 1 Pale Cascade if we play everything. I think maybe we just play our Diana here. It depends on what this guy does. A very real chance he actually flips this game when we have the 2 Pale Cascades. We still have 4 in our deck.
Cold and unforgiving as moonlight.
Alright, dude's up to shenanigans. I'm curious if this is a Targon Shield. So I think we do want to stop here. Not Targon Shield, a +3/+3, a Blessing of Targon. For him to be not adding units in this space.
My patience wanes. Moonlight guide me. Night descends. Face your heretic.
You got that +3/+3? That's what it feels like. Unless he just like, I mean, I can see a world where his plan is to just like behold the infinite, but you kind of know what you're digging for there. He'd want one of those just kind of like mid-rangey units. Okay, you just cycling. Okay. Seems very good for us.
Deal me in.
Our light grows brighter.
Ooh, Call of the Wild. I am filled with excitement. Said no one ever.
It is easy, see?
Okay, we probably don't even have to play the Poro Herders, right? We could just add our 3. I guess technically if we'd hit a like a not a sunburst, when a plunder one, we just wouldn't want to play it.
Eat and grow strong.
We're just not blocking this, right? Right.
Thanks for everything.
Okay. We do have Spell Shield Overwhelm Challenger. Probably all we can really ask for. We're gonna lose a couple stats because we have to cancel this one. Or did we just cancel Diana? I think we just canceled Diana. As strange as that sounds, I think that's the way we want to go about this. We just threaten to kill him next turn. Okay. There's a couple good ones off of start charts. You can get both the silence and you can get the stun. You have spell shield, so hopefully we're safe, but this is a scary proposition when you're going all in on the Fluft of Poros.
Do they need our help?
Okay. I would say that the Fluft of Poros is not long for this world. I think he's about to get sunburst. Well, I mean, what else is he going to do with the Steel Tempest? But, or Pale Cast, not Pale Cascade, but Crescent Strike, right? Crescent Strike, nailed it. So bad at card names. Oh, that's good for us. He snapped that one off, but
Follow along, little ones.
My friend, you are lucky, man.
I don't think there's anything that he can stop with an open, right? Or stop us from opening. Bilgewater, Targon, they don't have a lot of choices there. So I want to put this in front of the highest health unit, I think. This is going to deal the most damage, this is going to deal the next most damage. And I think we can just get wide again.
The little ones.
You're not alone. Braum is here. Don't be sad, my friend. Very scary.
Follow along, little ones.
My friend, you are lucky, man.
Okay.
Where'd they go off to?
Ha! This is fun.
Something like this. Can't combat trick through these. Alright, cool.
Look how we have grown.
Good job, Braum. Nice level ups.
The day is ours. Now we eat.
Now we eat. Okay, more trade picks. Oh boy, a Rummel? Who cares? Just anything to get rid of this Call of the Wild. I was initially looking at the Stargazer for Lonely Poro, and then it's like, we finally get to do it. We finally get to get this stupid thing out of here. We still have one, but yeah, I gotta do whatever we can to get rid of that thing. Right, let's see if this pre-final battle goes well. I assumed this was going to be a 0 winner from the start, so I'm feeling pretty good that we've made it this far. What was going on here? Ionia, this looks like spiders with a bit of Lulu in it. That's a strategy. I think I want to keep the Icefell Archer against an Elise, just to be able to shut her down on the second turn. A pretty powerful thing to be able to do. Right, if he plays Elise, we Icefell Archer her, then he's just super far behind.
There's nothing to fear.
A chill in the air.
Good stuff, good stuff.
My arrow won't miss.
Got our plunder. Things are happening. Ooh, the elusive. That's what the old Heart of Fluft wants to see.
pretty poison. Have you met my pets?
Okay, that seems good.
Not enough mustache.
You won't suffer long.
Can't combat trick out of this, but it's not the end of the world if that's what he does. Just want to go full prevent. I think he's going to be the aggro here. Right. What I assume is going to happen here is he's going to have like a Pale Cascade, or he's going to have a Whirling Death, and he can either save his Elise or he can kill our Braum, but he can't do both. Or just the actual nothings, which is fantastic.
It is easy, see?
Okay, okay. So, I mean, if we want to win a combat with Braum, we have to spend a Fury of the North, which is too expensive. I think we need to plan on just some like Brittle Steels being good. So let's add a Lonely.
Don't be sad.
Once again, it's another one we don't care if it just comes out here and dies. Then the plan is I'm going to Iceveil Archer, whatever his biggest play is here.
Another day in paradise.
Well, maybe not. I don't think we can take down his Collector.
Let's show our friends the door.
You're a good attack, you're a good attack. Keep those back on defense.
Have fun.
Hang on, we didn't do those mathematics properly. what was our thoughts with that? Just not realizing 3 and 4 are not are not the same. That was horrible turn. Nothing about that was good. I still think we're fine. Like I think given our hand and board and what the Spiders deck is capable of doing, I think we're still gonna win this game. But that is not the best path to victory we were attempting to take there. Okay, these archers are just gonna be bad from this point forward. We'll trade it off with a spider.
Round and round we go.
Okay.
Those that fell were never lost.
Help is underway.
These are the easy ones.
If it's a fight they want,
Okay.
Shouldn't have done
In service to the Imperial.
Alright, then there's not... Well... I guess we do have double Pale Cascade. So let's do Add Our Nimble. Alright. Well, the idea is we're gonna hook the Collector. Maybe... that's not ideal. Okay.
first we fight. We should be friends.
Given how I was curious, I was like, can we just give his unit a bonus? But no, I think this is okay. I want to, you know, we run into this spot kind of frequently where we don't want to just be killing off his units because that gives them the opportunity to just refill when we can't refill.
To the Imperial.
I think this is okay. They Who Endures big, Rummel's big, so maybe we can get a big overwhelm kill next turn. This is only fearsome.
What wisdom do you bring from your journey, grandfather?
I'm not super worried about these Poros anymore. We can just throw them away. Where does that get us to 6? I'm trying to decide if we actually just want to let this one survive so we can get a bigger They Who Endure next turn, which seems pretty reasonable to me. Okay. Seems healthy and safe.
Look how we have grown!
So, I mean, we're going to have 8 plus 7, 15 Overwhelm, and then 5 out of hand, so 20 in total. Currently, the most health he can put out is 5, which is lethal. Then we can also hook whatever his biggest one is with Braum. So that seems fine. Oh, I guess we can't play both of these, though. Have the mana for that.
Let's show our friends this
So let's hook this first. If things go wrong, then we're going to want to have access to hooks. Things are going to go wrong, aren't they? Okay, let's see where that gets us.
Come closer.
Follow along, little ones. My
We have
friend,
Poros again? Or we just not have a Poro? Okay, alright. Oops. I think we can survive this, though. He's only got... Well, Zelise is going to flip, but we don't care about him forcing blocks on our stuff.
My
As long as we're fully wide, we can block his fearsomes.
I salute you.
Okay. Thankfully, we have a bunch of damage across all of our units. It looks like his play is going to be to try to put our little health in front of... Oh, I thought he was going to be trying to say hook a...
Oh, so big.
this way. Hey, come on, bud. Are we going to get this?
Do they need our help?
What's going on, friend? Yep, come on, bud. Get down. He's going to do this thing. I mean, he can make it to where, you know, I assume that his play here, if he can figure it out, is you want to get these big fearsomes through. Oh.
Help is on the way.
Takes this to 2. Come on, bud, get down. I think to do this.
We've gone and spoke them.
Then we want to protect our Rummel. Now we take 1 damage. We still die to Atrocity, but we put, you know, we put out what we could, and then kept our 2 overwhelms for the next turn. Good stuff.
See? Trust Braum.
All right, trade into that final battle. Boom. I don't even care what these other ones are. Get this stupid Call of the Wild out of here. Okay. So this one is tough, right? I would love to pick up Evrosian Hearthguard, but we only have 1 Mighty Poro. And as you can see, you know, Overwhelm is so incredibly important to get on our 1 Heart of Fluft. So, I mean, you can generate Mighty Poros with Braum, but, you know, I think these are just too important to keep as opposed to the Hearthguard. And then Hush is arguably better than Brittle Steel. The thing with Brittle Steel is we've, you know, with the way these games kind of play out, we're very easily able to spend mana exactly how we want. And so if we want to go and get a full mana bank, We like having this 1 mana spell that we can go and then Pale Cascade afterwards. And so I think I want to hang on to the Brittle Steel as opposed to picking up Hush. This is fine. We'll skip all of these. Well, I guess the last point of contention here is our Fury of the North. What do we have? We have 2 Furies, 3 Poros Necks, 6 Pale Cascades. And do we want to pick up our 6th Poro Herder? I think we're okay with the 2 Fury of the North. Let's skip this one. Okay. I have not been impressed with They Who Endure in this match. I think I'm going to just pick up the Aurora Borealis in place of this. It's just been typically what you're expecting out of these is, all of your early game Poros are just going to die. And then, this is like an 8-8. I think that 5-5 or 6-6 or whatever we played this at was like the biggest one we'd ever seen. Let's just go on. And we did pick up Rummel. I think I am going to hang on to Rummel as opposed to the second one. This is a very expensive spell. So these we can just all skip. We don't want Call of the Wilds and don't want to trade out our Poro Flies. Okay, now we'll trade out the Fury of the North for Heart of Fluft. Having a second one of these could be big. It's such an important card to actually draw. Alright. I think we're ready for battle. Alright, final battle. I'm happy with how this final deck is. Round 0, this deck was trash. Round 7 or 6, this is pretty decent. I am frightened by this elusive package this guy's throwing at us. We don't have a lot of ways to interact with that. I think this is an okay keep though. Might hit some challenger Poros with these Lonelies. I want to get it in there. Okay, so with this, I don't want to be like super aggressive here, since we do have the 3 Poro Snacks now plus the Aurora Borealis. We have 3 Lonely Poros already. We're gonna have this gigantic pile of Poros, so we don't need to just be like throwing these away all willy-nilly. We can just try and grind this out a little bit. Got a ton of card draw here in these Pale Cascades while cycling, not card draw. This all seems pretty good to me. Absolutely. Do not understand this play, but I'm on board to find out what's about to come of this. Okay. So I don't think we want to Braum here. My idea is that we're just gonna Ice Veil Archer this thing, and then he's gonna have to play something. If he plays something like a Kept Peddler, perfect. We can just kill it with any of our units. If he wants to just take a trade on our Ice Veil Archer, that's fine. Like, this is all gonna be pretty good in my opinion. Get this out of here. He has a Mystic Shot. This isn't ideal, but as long as he's not adding units to the board, we can continue to get wider. This is all very good for us. Sure.
There they go.
Okay. So we can be real aggressive with this Braum. I don't feel like he's ever really going to attack here, but if we lose our Braum and we just play another one, it's okay. Alright, he's just going to pass back to us. So we have to at least play one card so that our Pale Cascades are turned on. And if we're just looking to spend maybe 5 mana, he's gonna block the Poro Herder, but I would probably rather just level up Braum post-combat. Let's do this. Let's add a Lonely. double Mushroom Cloud so he can get this up +2. Right.
Trust me. Have you met my shield?
Let's see how this plays out. We need to just get some of this stuff off the board, and so, you know, we have tons of just little turdy dudes to add to the board, and so I'm fine with cycling off Pale Cascades and emptying this guy's board down. I think that's good for us. So what are the chances he has another spell? That's the big question here. I think it's okay even if he does. Beautiful, beautiful. Pretty good spot. So now we can make the, you know, the overwhelm, just the super Heart of Fluft, but we really need a Poros next before we do that, right? If we roll up all of these little ones into the Heart of Fluft, he only has like the +1 bonus on himself, but if we've played the Heart of Fluft across like 4 units, then, you know, he's going to get a total of like +5/+5. If this Victor ever attacks. Let's just do this. Let's Stargazer. And then I think we just want to end the turn banked. Maybe not. Let's keep this thing from attacking. All these things just have 1 health. We have to add another Poro here. This is the duplicate. Come on, Poros snacks.
Mentalist perfection. I can barely keep up. First we fight. We should be friends.
Okay, I think we have to keep our Overwhelm Poro. We're going to be able to pull this stuff off at some point, but I really want to contest all of his 1 health units here. We can take heart our Braum post-combat, and then kind of the idea is that we'll be banked up for a Sunburst next turn. Pretty good spot here. Should have a very tough time dealing with this Braum. You can Thermogenic Beam it, which would be a pain in the butt, but otherwise feeling pretty good about this. So that survives. Now the new question is, do we just go for a Heart of Fluft next turn? It'd only be a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11? No, I don't think we do.
Yes, of course. Electroplating completed.
I've always been a fun guy.
In service to the Imperium.
I'm just going to ace his Victor now. Definitely acing this Victor now. As I say, he's not like ultra scary, but we don't want this stupid thing having elusive.
My work.
Oh, that's a harvest right there.
I'm leaning more and more towards just starting to play these cards. So let's add Porofly. And then I think we have to stop. It'll at least give us kind of a meaty Poro. Yeah. With the We only like the meatiest of Poros here. But it'll let us to continue to get some width here. I mean, ideally, we'll just draw a Heart of Fluft, or a Poros neck, but... 10 damage one? Okay. That should be lethal. Well, let's see. Let's see how this plays out.
Pay debt.
What could he do to get around this? He could have the 4/4 thing. So I guess we ought to just try to get more stuff on board.
Ooh, quite
Okay.
a collection.
I think we're gonna be fine.
2, 3, 4.
Always chasing after this one.
All right, let's get him in there. I don't think there's anything in Piltover that stops this. I think we're good to go here. Right, even if he has the thing that makes a 4/4, we can Pale Cascade through it. He has 1 card against our spell shield and 3 healths across the board.
Hold still.
Would a mushroom help?
Vandal scouts are never afraid.
Hey. Alrighty, good game, friend.
My pretty.
Good. This is another one of these recent ones where we fully suspect to hit 0 wins, take it to 7. I forget, we did that with like Gangplank or something here recently, but nice little 7 winner. So cool. Yeah, let's get this pulled up and talk about it a little bit. I haven't been able to do the whole like let's talk about this deck recaps here recently because we've been drafting some weird shit. It's like this is more along the lines of a standard deck where I'm able to sit here and talk about. I don't have to be like, well, you know, you're probably never going to run into this kind of thing, but I at least kind of hope you understand the concepts we're doing. It's a different story here with the Poros deck, right? And so, again, like right from the beginning, you know, we took this Braum just for the sake of drafting the Poros deck. We kind of had some options. I feel like the Diana was a good place if we needed to pivot, but, you know, we called out right from the start. This is a real problem with taking this specific pack. You're starting with Call of the Wild, which is hot garbage. We're starting with Poros Snacks, which is okay. If you're in the Poros build around, but like what happens if, you know, down here at pick 3 we pick you know, some Nightfall cards, down here at pick 4 we pick some Nightfall cards, and then we are just completely out of Poros, right? We're just not in this deck. We have these very Poros specific cards in it, and so that is ultimately why I did not recommend taking this Braum. It's just we really like to set ourselves up to where you know, we're kind of open with what we can do. So we could draft a Braum deck, we could draft some other kind of, you know, Champion Impact 2, and then depending on how these first few picks go, we can, you know, just kind of like edit the course of what we want to have happen. But with a pack like this, you basically have to just come out here and say, okay, no matter what, I'm drafting Braum. And this just is not a card pool that really plays well to that. Like you can do that with like the Black Mist Nocturne. You can do that with Afterlife Callista. There's some of these real top-notch pools that you can just say like, okay, regardless of what my second champion is, I'm just doing this thing. And you'll probably be fine. Poros is not it, and especially starting off with these Poro cards like this. So, you know, that aside, you know, strongly recommending against taking this. In our second pack here, with the idea that we have to draft Poros, there's kind of 2 things going on, right? We know that in large part, the way you get the kills with these Poros decks is through Heart of Fluft. And so the real 2 keys to Heart of Fluft is that he has to be able to you know, overwhelm, which we can typically do with Braum and Mighty Poro. We prefer for him to be able to have some kind of evasion or combat survivability trick, which would lead to, drafting Ionia, or in the case here, why I really like Targon and why you got to see why this was pretty powerful is giving him spell shields. And so, kind of the big idea that you're going to have with this deck is we're going to, play a Poros next at some point, level up all of our Poros, and then we're going to try to have a board with both Mighty Poro and Poro Fly on it, and then we're just going to have this gigantic spell shield Overwhelm. And so that's the, the main reason that we dove in here on Diana. There were some, additional side combos that would have been good. The gems, of course, play well with Braum. The 1 and 2 and 3 drop cheapness plays really well with the 1 and 2 and 3 drop cheapness of these of Fluft and Tuft. And sometimes you just end up with 6 Pale Cascades. So yeah, I feel like this Diana was a very good pairing with Braum between. Her being a cheap interactive unit, the Poro Flies, the Pale Cascades, the access to gems. Good stuff happening here. And so, once you've gotten to that point, we've kind of developed how we want our strategy to look. We want to be a Heart of Fluft deck. We plan on giving it Spell Shield and Overwhelm. What else does this deck need to get to that point? And so ideally, we're going to want a couple of removal spells. That's how we ended up with these Sunbursts. We're just planning on having, not actual just like big units, right? We don't really want to be adding just a big unit that doesn't have Overwhelm. We just want these closers. Ideally, it's just Heart of Fluft. You can use the expensive card. We traded it out. I can't remember the name of it. You can use They Who Endure. It didn't play out particularly well this trial, but the idea is there, right? We're playing a bunch of cheap units. We're going to close with They Who Endure. And then, of course, Rummel, a big closer as well. So beyond having these, right, having 2 or 3 big closers, a couple of removal spells, you really want your curve to be super, super low. But just a bunch of cheap stuff. It's very easy to spend all of your mana every turn when you have things like Lonely Poros and Poro Herders. And then your big action spells are actually quite expensive, right? Your Braum Flip is Take Heart, that costs 3 mana. Fury of the North costs 4 mana. Poro Snack costs 3 mana. And so you're looking to have all of these cheap units on the board that you then upgrade with your expensive spells. And so you don't want to be in this spot to where you have to decide whether or not you want to play a random 5/5 for 5, or if you want to play a combat trick plus Poro Snacks. And so you won't run into this specific version every time to where you have 6 Pale Cascades and you're really wanting ways to hit that Nightfall, so you're using your Lonely Poros in that fashion. But as per usual here, you want your curve to stay really low. Understand that, your units should be the cheap part of the deck, and then the mid game of your deck should be these combat tricks, be it, Poro Snacks, or if you find the +3/+3 Targon card, we get some double value there with Braum. If you're getting gems going, sure, whatever. We just understand that, you want your units at the bottom side of the curve, but that does not make this an aggressive deck, which is kind of the last point I want to bring home. As we are trying to play Lonely Poro. You do run into a lot of these draws to where you play, like 3 Poros and a Poro Herder by the 3rd turn. All of those units are trash, and we're trying to do a lot of upgrading with those, right? And so you do want to come down and get some aggression going, but don't just be like throwing units at face. This is not a face damage deck. This is more along the lines of a go wide deck. And with your width, you want to take advantage of these expensive combat tricks, take advantage of your Poro Snacks, take advantage of your Heart of Fluft. This is not like a Fishbone style deck to where you're just slamming a bunch of units on the board and immediately replacing them. This is more of a mid-rangey style deck. And so yeah, I think that will do it for us today. Nice little run with Braum and the Poros. Let's jump back real quick and see if there's any rewards, and there are not. So that is going to do it for us today. Hope the Heart of Fluft was with you with this trial. Hope you had an educational moment or two and a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.